What is the toughest decision you've made recently?
Recently. Hmm. Actually, I think I don't know if we talked about it on here. I know we talked about it just us not recording, but taking the summer job that I was going to take, where they wanted me to be like the coordinator for the tutoring centers, both tutoring centers, the math and science one and the writing center. Basically, they just need somebody to be there that can be faculty. And because of my work history, I fell under that purview. So I thought about it because it was only 4 days a week, 4 hours a day, and I thought about it for like 2 weeks, and it kept coming back to me. No, you need to rest. You need to take a break. You need to take a break. So I did. I emailed my coordinator. I wrote it in notes because I do that just like the celebrities do their PR statements in the notes app. Drafted it in
And
notes.
then they screenshot it and upload
Yep.
it as a picture. Yeah.
I might start doing that to people, just writing out my text messages in notes and then screenshotting it and sending it to them. So just be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I drafted it, sent it to her, and literally as I sent it, I was like, okay, now it's out. It's out. She knows I'm not going to do it because I don't want to let anybody down, anything like that. Most of my hard decisions go back to I don't want to disappoint anybody or make anybody feel like they're being left out to dry. But ultimately, it was the best decision that I could make for me because your boy needs to take a break. Like, I'm tired. I'm
I
tired.
agree. We have to take a break. It's really important to rest when you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, when I think about all the naps that I missed out on because I just needed to be up, like I was going to miss something.
Man, I envy your ability to nap. Like you can literally lay down and just be like, okay, 15 minutes. If I set an alarm, 15 minutes. And then you just go to sleep.
Hmm.
For me, it's I cannot nap. I'm trying to get better at it now. Like I saw a TikTok where it's like, okay, put your feet up on something and you fall asleep easier. I did that. The dog came up to me and licked my eye because I think she probably thought I died because I was on the floor. But I did it and I stood up afterwards. I was like, oh, that felt great. Like it felt really good. So I'm starting to see the value in naps. But I'm one of those people that I have this mindset stuck in my head that like throughout the day I have to be doing something, even if that something is just sitting down,
Right.
being awake, watching TV, which doesn't help out just like with making sure that I feel well rested. So if you can bottle
See,
that, send it to me to just a little micro nap thing. Like we don't need like micro melatonin or anything. We just need you to figure out how to make that happen.
it's all in the relaxation. Like I know that I have
What is that?
like today I did a smooth like 14-minute nap
Hmm.
and
That's
no
very
alarms,
specific.
no alarms,
Why is that so
but
specific?
because I did some organizing around the house. I had a 3 hour break. In the
Hmm.
first hour, I didn't actually take a break. So then I only had 2 hours left. And then by the time I finished up, I only had 30 minutes until I was supposed to get back on the clock. So I took 10 minutes to do whatever it is I needed to do so that when I got up, all I had to do was log on. And then I ended up getting lost on YouTube and was like, okay, listen, you have 20 minutes. We need to close our eyes and relax. So I put my phone down and went to sleep for about 14 minutes and then woke up and was like, huh, I have 7 minutes to clock in. Cool.
See, I was supposed to start working at 8:30 this morning. I woke up on time. I got out of bed at 9 o'clock. So is that rest or does that fit the bill?
Do you feel rested?
Yeah, I guess less resentful for the morning resentment. Um, less resentful. So yeah, I guess rested and less resentful. Yeah, yeah. I worked
I think,
30 minutes
well,
late. later. So
I need you to get off on time. Get off on time.
I didn't actually work 30 minutes later, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure say.
But if
Yeah.
anybody's listening to this that has anything to do with HR in the district that I work at, if you recognize me, yes, I worked 30 minutes later. I did.
I can dig it. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. I am your host, Leah, joined this week by Jason. Thank you so much, Jason, for being on.
It's me. Thanks for having me back again. This is what, 3 or 4 weeks in a row?
We're doing this.
At some point, she's going to
Like-
catch on that, hey, this dude is messing me up. She's going to be like, hey, you got to go. No, I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck in my barn with me for now.
This for me, I feel it feels really good to have a consistent co-host to rotate like shows with, because I feel like we can have a consistent theme going that helps us to break down different topics.
Yeah.
And instead of just sticking with one or the other or whatever, or feeling more disjointed because of the multiple conversations or repetitive conversations. I enjoy like being able to have like a continual.
There's a thread.
Is it continual or continuous?
Depends on which one you're trying to use. Finish the sentence and then I'll let you know. Because I need the context.
Continuous conversation. Continuous conversation.
If you go with conversation, then yeah.
Yes. I was like, no, continually means all the time.
Yeah.
And I just thought of that because it's like, I will bless the Lord at all times. Praise will continually be in my mouth. And I'm like, that's just all times.
To the church, to the gospel on you.
That's how I remember these words.
It's building a narrative, really. It's like a collection of my experiences, your experiences, everything. We have like the different contexts and everything that we can keep building on, and we can refer back to things that we talked about before. So it makes sense that it feels more full. Yes. Like even for me, it seems more full than when we were recording before, where it was like, okay, we churn out a few episodes on different topics, maybe within a few weeks or so. But there's a consistent thread with this one where it is like, okay, we're following these two people on figuring this crap out and figuring out what have we learned over our years, because we're seasoned now, right? We can say that. We're seasoned. We're not old. We're seasoned. We can share it with the world, right?
Yeah, I hope that people will like. It makes me happy to know that there are people who can learn from us. Surprisingly, people who can learn from me, and even if they don't get it like the first time around, when they do eventually get it, it's just been kind of like aha. Like the light bulb just went off, like, oh, finally, like you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You get why I'm saying to do these things, or why I say do your own research, or, go to therapy, or make sure that you have the right people in your corner, or maybe you should try again. Not that I have all the answers, but just being open to that new perspective has helped me to understand why people are hesitant, and give them that kind of like space and grace of like, look, I know you're hesitant. I know that it's because you don't really understand, but you don't understand because you're more guarded about this. Yeah. So you have to figure out why you're so guarded before you start trying to, what I know is what I know, and that's all I need to know.
Right. I was actually talking about that with one of our tutors / a student that I was tutoring. So it was like one of our tutors, she wanted to talk about something I can't remember, but it went back to one of the things that came up was that idea of if we don't understand something, our human instinct, and it was a survival instinct before, because if we didn't understand something, then you avoid it so you don't get eaten by the T-Rex, not the T-Rex because they didn't exist at the same time. So you don't get eaten by the lion, by the saber-toothed tiger or whatever, right? Or the mammoth, or get stomped by the mammoth, I mean. But it's a survival instinct for us to think like, I don't understand this, so I'm going to avoid it. I turn away from it completely, but we have to lean in. Or I don't want to tell you guys what to do either. I don't want to be like Leah either. I'm not trying to teach you guys. What has worked for me has been to take those opportunities of where I don't understand something and either try to learn more about it or try to figure out why I don't understand it or why it's making me uncomfortable or something, and then unpack it from there instead of just instant reaction, just avoidance. And
That
that's different
leaning
from
is
the,
so.
yeah, that's different from the anxiety avoidance that we talk about sometimes, but it's like a fear avoidance, a fear of just not understanding something, of just that fear with ignorance, I guess.
Yeah, the lean in is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's so and it's so scary because you don't know what you're stepping into. Whether
Right.
you're learning a new skill, you're learning about about now the hot topic are pronouns. You're learning about what policies affect your life. You're learning about what you didn't learn in school. Learning how to be, a presence on social media. Whether you're learning how to run a business,
Hmm.
or building a brand, or even I just met some people who are starting a church. There are so many things that people just don't know, and with the internet, everybody is a critic. Everybody's a critic. Everybody is a genius. Everybody knows everything. And so when you don't know something, it's so easy to say, well, let me Google it real quick to figure out
Right.
what it is, as opposed to saying, I don't have experience with that, or I don't know what that is. Would
Right.
you mind telling me?
Right. Just reaching out for help. Like, didn't we talk about that last week with just understanding and knowing your blind spots and knowing where you either need support or where you can be more support from for other people, right?
Hmm.
And just knowing like, okay, I don't understand this. Who can I reach out to for it? Yeah, it's
Right.
self-driven research and stuff is great. Love it. But a lot of good comes from collaborative efforts, even if it's just
Yes.
talking about stuff with people. Not that you have to take
Yes.
their ideas or anything. Even if you completely disagree with what they're saying, their perspective can offer you something. I've worked with plenty of students where they're writing stuff, especially like a specific article about like the women's soccer team with Megan Rapinoe, and this very polarizing article that the professor assigns. I've seen maybe two or three students write some stuff that I completely disagree with. But approaching that conversation, I was able to share with them my perspectives about the article, and they were able to sort of change things a little bit so that they weren't as sexist. Um, but I say that to say, just know what you can offer to people and just don't automatically react to something that either you don't understand or something that you disagree with. I feel like there are limitations. There should be limitations to that. But
Yes, there are. I
yeah,
think I think
there
there
are
are.
qualifiers there, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
you guys know what
But
they are.
the
So,
the collaborative knowledge that we have, because you can't as one person know everything.
right.
Like, I am not going to go to Elon Musk to ask him how to fix a broken arm.
Hmm.
He knows how to do whatever he is trying to accomplish. That's
Yeah.
fine. Or Jordan Peterson, like he's a great psychologist, very accomplished individual. He does all these talks and things like that, and thinks through the questions that being asked. Great orator,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to. I can ask him about his thoughts on depression or any clinical matter, but I am not going to ask him to help me with my math homework.
Right.
Like, not saying that he's not qualified, but everybody can't know everything, and
No.
it's okay to do the one thing that you do really well,
Hmm.
and be a part of a network of people who you can lean on to do those things. So if you have somebody who's in the medical field, or have somebody who's in finance, or have somebody who's in education, in all these different places, to be able to help you to achieve whatever form of success you're trying to achieve in life, then
Hmm.
that's much better than you trying to take on the whole world of, I'm going to get all the knowledge I can about everything and do my own self-driven research, because your research comes with your own bias,
Yeah.
and your bias creates limitations to your knowledge.
Right. Like glasses, honestly, your lenses can only take you so far. So you need to
Right.
meet other people with different prescriptions, right? And different
Right.
lenses and however they see the world, and different perspectives and experiences and stuff. So yeah, lean into it. How do you find those people in your friend groups, or just not even in your friend groups, when you're looking for those opportunities for who to reach out to, really. How do you identify who's the best for whatever you're working on at that time? Like, is it a conscious effort to seek out those people? Like, are you looking for a
That's a really
chiropractor?
good question.
Because remember, I've been trying to set you up with a chiropractor for however many years. I need one in my circle. I got a finance person. I got a balloon person now. I got Jordan in legislation. I'm the educator. We need a chiropractor.
We do need a chiropractor for like what, 5 years if you're looking for a chiropractor. Um, no,
Yeah, how do you find those things?
I don't know. I don't think that it's a necessarily conscious effort for me to seek out those people because I treat every opportunity like an opportunity,
Okay.
even when it seems unlikely. So, for instance, 2 years ago, I met this woman on a plane. She's freaking out, like because she was very uncomfortable flying. But I was flying with Colt, my dog, and she was petting him, and that made her like calm down. We exchanged information, and turns out she works in the mental health field.
Mm.
And so I made a connection with somebody in the mental health field. So if I'm like, hey, can you give me research? Can you point me in the direction of a good article or something I can research about this? Like I can pick her brain about this kind of stuff. And when she talks to me and she has to do a presentation, I can help her out with just like, oh, here's some pointers, here's some tips. Not that you're, giving away your services for free
Right.
or anything, but you're collaborating with like, you might want to try this or do this. This may
Yeah.
help you if you think this way. So I don't think that I intentionally go out to try to seek people who are in different fields because I treat every opportunity like an opportunity.
Yeah.
So when I talk to people, I talk to them as if I talk to everybody like they're an old friend that we just lost touch.
You do.
Some people it's a little off putting, but
Yeah.
but
You're like that person at the grocery store that your mom always made friends with, and it's like, okay,
yes,
can we just go home? And literally standing in front of the Duraflame,
want pasta.
literally standing in front of the Duraflame fire logs at the front of the store, talking to the lady for like 30, 45 minutes about God knows what.
Everything about
Everything.
everything. Yes.
And you're like, okay, can I just go sit in the car? It's like,
but it's
no,
so
we're about
hot,
to leave in a
and
minute.
you don't want to sit in the car because it's too
Yeah.
hot.
And you were too young to try to turn the key to turn the air on because it's like, oh, if I turn the key, the car's going to come on and it's just going to move and it's going to go.
Yeah.
No. Okay, I'll just go back in.
Yeah, for me, it's that's what I like about being an extrovert is that
Mm-hmm.
I get to have all these kinds of cool conversations. I just talked with one of the bartenders at brunch about Zordon and where he came from
Oh my God.
and his whole backstory.
Yeah.
And
We'll talk
just
about
be just
we
being
need
able
to talk about that. We need to come back to that, but finish your thought, please.
but just being able to have that conversation and talk with different people, especially when they are receptive of the conversation, not to
Mm-hmm.
make anybody feel uncomfortable or step on anybody's toes or
Mm-hmm.
force people into uncomfortable situations. But if I give a little and they give a little back, and then I give a little more and they reciprocate,
Yeah.
then we're in a conversation. It's a give and take.
Yeah.
But if it's a situation of just like one word answers and their body language is really showing that they're not really into the conversation,
You can read that very easily.
yeah, then I just kind of let it go.
Yeah. I'm not going back to Zordon yet. I'm going to build on what you said. You mentioned you're an extrovert. It reminded me of, I guess, like I'm realizing more as I get older that, yeah, I used to think that the introvert extrovert thing was more of like a black and white thing. But I get that there are layers to it. It's like a spectrum
Yes.
for lack of a better term. I
Yes.
think of myself as more of like a receptive introvert where if somebody comes to talk to me, I will keep the conversation going. I'm not going to put myself out there for people to talk to me, or I'm not going to initiate the conversation for the most part. But I realize that a lot of people on the street, they really do. If I'm just sitting in one spot, they'll come up to me and talk to me. Just about, especially once they find out that I'm a teacher. and they'll just start unpacking a lot of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Sometimes it does get to the point where I want them to cut off. But
But the bus isn't here yet, so you can't.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like even in those cases, I've learned as I've gotten older, for you introverts out there, just a pro tip, fellow introverts, I should say. A pro tip, if somebody is opening up to you a lot in those kind of situations, no matter how much they're talking to you, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, you can always sort of reframe the thinking where it's like, okay, this person needs someone to talk to right now. Or this person is getting something from it, like they're getting something out of this. Oh, this is making that person feel good. So you can reframe it like that, not like, oh, they're needy, need somebody to talk to like that, but just they want to share something with you. And don't take it so personally, really, introverts. So we're trying to bridge the gap here. Going back to Zordon. Jordan asked me today, I think out of the blue, honestly, he's like, does Zordon have any powers? And it dawned on me that Zordon is basically a computer program that tells Alpha what to do.
Yes.
Like he is in a
tube.
tube.
Who is also a computer program.
Clearly, like he wasn't even bulletproof glass, because in the first Power Rangers movie, Ivan Ooze just came in and just blasted him out of his little tube. Like they didn't even use plexiglass.
Like a grape,
just like a grape, like a white grape, like a yellow grape. He was just laying there in his little glittery robe.
Yeah,
his little Diana Ross robe.
Why was he so glittery? Why was he so shiny? What were they trying to add?
It's like they put all of his energy into shining, and it's like, dude, do something. He didn't even have any kind of like laser beams. They didn't have any kind of defense system in the command center.
Teenagers with attitude.
Teenagers with attitude.
That's what it was. They had teenagers with attitude.
It's like, okay, I found these ones. No. They need attitude. Like he was literally a computer system that told Alpha what to do. But I digress. I just had to get that out there.
But in the remake, in the reboot, him and Rita both came to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
during the time of the dinosaurs, yes.
They were underground, and he uploaded his consciousness into a program.
Yeah.
To be able to bring himself back to life.
Yeah.
It made even less. How did he learn the languages? Like, what is it?
Somehow it made less sense than a show that followed teenagers who beamed themselves into the sky, who fought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They were the original Ben 10.
Ben 10. Yes, they were.
They were the original Ben 10.
Remember the Alien Rangers when they came on the show and they kept
the
doing
Samurai
like this?
Rangers? Oh, I can't.
Remember
like, why?
The Alien Rangers. Remember when the Ninja Turtles showed up? Remember when they got turned into kids? There's a lot of stuff that happened.
Angel Grove had a lot going on for it to be a small town.
I mean, and nobody really seemed that overly concerned with the fact that there was like a group of 5, and then eventually 6, because then Tommy came in and just took over the show.
Yes, of course. And then he was the White Ranger.
Like, oh, he's different from the other ones. He was bad first.
He has a ponytail.
Yeah, he's going to be the leader. Oh, he wears cutoff shirts. Oh, okay. Jason was the leader, and literally Tommy just showed up and was like, no, I'm in control now.
Like, I'm here now.
No questions asked.
And me and Kimberly are together.
It's like it made no sense.
It didn't.
How you just let somebody come in and just take over management like that? It was like, 5 of them.
But they all followed him. Billy was like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this." Okay,
blindly,
we're doing this.
They followed him blindly.
I'm just like, nobody pushed back. Jason was just like, "I'm gonna go huff in the corner. I'm just gonna pout." He's got my team and my girl.
And he just rolled with it. It was like, okay, for 2 episodes, he was like, okay, yeah, we're going head to head. Oh, we're 2 bulls going at it. Then eventually it was just like, okay, Tommy, you are leader. Is it because he had the vest? The shield?
It was because he had a ponytail.
The little cotton shield. Remember the gold cotton shield?
He was the only one with hair. I feel like it was, he got the upgrade because he had hair.
I guess.
That's what it was. I don't know if he ever wore his hair down, but you know.
He did. I remember Tommy with the silk press. Yes, he wore it down because he would shake his head so it moved. I can't do it now because
Tommy with the
my situation. There was some heat protectant. There was some heat protectant at play there. I feel like Tommy and Kimberly were competing for best hair.
Yes. Okay.
And
Yeah.
more often than not, if Tommy wore his hair down, Kimberly lost. Now,
I would have to agree.
who's it? Samson with the powers in the hair, right?
Yes.
Is it Samson? Is that
Yes.
the situation? Was his power in his hair?
Ooh. But Samson had locks though.
Did the regular people? Well, no. Sorry, I just had a thought. Because Rita lived on the moon. Did the regular people of the Earth? Did she live on the dark side of the moon? Did we just not see it? There's so many questions.
There's a lot, but I have a question for the people of Angel Grove.
Yeah, and then we need to get back on topic. Because
How are you guys living there and paying these high blankety blank insurance premiums, knowing that there's going to be a new monster every week that comes? Like what? Like, does your insurance company say we're not paying because we already paid out twice this month? You're gonna have to wait until next year.
How many skyscrapers were there to be destroyed that many times? It was a town, right? Was it a city or a town?
But they fought in rocks, like in the wilderness, like
Right.
after like the 15th time of tearing down the city.
The environmental impact is just
The school never really got hit outside of the silly putty people.
That's right. They were teenagers, so they were supposed to be in school, even though they looked
They were like
easily
35 years old.
I mean, they were the age of our parents at that time. Like, come on.
They were up there. But the silly putties people,
The Putty Patrol.
they
remember?
just showed up to the school in the gray suits and was just like.
Remember when Lord Zed came and they got the Z's on the chest, and it was like, oh no, you have to hit him in the chest.
Yeah.
Right in
my
the chest.
They're not going down. Well, you got to hit them in the chest.
Can you imagine how many kids just took chest shots because they thought that would just stop their friends? Just immediately just walk up to little Tammy Lynn and just bop her right in the chest. Timmy, what are you doing? Right?
You almost choked me.
I'm sorry. Don't drown, please. Like, that was a violent show if you really think about it.
Because I just had a visual as soon as...
Of a kid just getting popped right in the chest, huh? And what if it happened and a kid just exploded, right? When it just popped, and then the arms and stuff just flew off.
That was one. Oh my gosh.
Where did their bodies go when they were, like, when they disassembled? Like, when they were automatically, when they
I
had
thought
the
they
trigger
turned
button?
into rocks. Did they not turn into rocks? And then
I don't know
they
why.
disappeared off screen?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, you hit them and then they just go, and then they blow up everywhere. Did they just dissipate, or did the rocks fly somewhere else? Like,
I don't think the rocks flew. I think they just dissipated. It was something that happened off screen. They were like, "Oh, they're kids. They won't think about this stuff."
they won't, but then the kids grow up. We ask questions.
I have a lot of questions about that show. I have more questions about VR Troopers and Beetleborgs, but
Beetleborgs was freaking weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever see, and then we're going to get back on topic, I'm sorry. Did you ever see Tattoo Teenage Alien Fighters from Outer Space? Tattoo Teenage Alien Fighters from Outer Space? Yeah, they had tattoos.
Not even a little bit.
It was bad.
Why were the teenagers tattooed?
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
We knew that show was bad. We actually watched it because we knew it was bad. I feel like it was supposed to be like a Power Rangers, like to bite off of it or whatever.
Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills.
From Beverly Hills. Yeah, sorry. Beverly Hills, not Outer Space.
Oh my gosh. I have to put this, if I remember, I have to put this in the video because
you need to watch the intro.
this looks so bad.
It was
The description: low budget kids show with four alien fighters recruited by Nimbar. The four are Gordon, Lori, Drew, and Swinton, who fight to save the universe from evil Emperor Gorganus.
it's a lot of gore sounds happening there.
What? The poster, oh man, the poster looks like they tried to imitate the X-Men cartoon.
That was probably at play too.
Oh no, oh no, oh gosh, why did you do this to me? I don't. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Oh
What was
man, that's
going on in the
bad.
90s? What were
I don't
we
know.
why did we allow this?
I feel like this one was like an American answer. I'm assuming that it's an American show. Yeah, it's an American show. So I'm assuming it was like the American answer to the Power Rangers, maybe. Because remember, Power Rangers was
Was it
originally a
Japanese?
Japanese show. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so all the fight scenes and stuff were
Yeah.
from the original show, which is why Trini was a guy and why
Yes.
Trini didn't have a skirt like Kimberly did.
Yeah.
Still,
I thought they were, discriminating against Trini, and then when I saw that they gave Aisha a skirt, I knew that they were against Trini.
it's like, oh,
And then I
okay.
was like, oh no, it was an actual guy.
They actually, in the Wikipedia page, they have the full title listed at first, but then in parentheses, because they're not going to type that out the rest of the way. They're like, what? We're not typing all these words. TTAFBH. Did you watch TTAFBH?
Mm-mm. No.
And from
I'm not happy that I've learned this information. No, I don't
40
know.
episodes.
40 episodes.
40. I'm assuming that's one season.
Yes, it was one season.
Good.
They
That's
only
one
lasted
season too
94
long.
to 95. Like that was it.
It's a weird
So
year.
it lasted literally one school year.
But they had a black guy. So I feel like
That was
they had
it in
to.
the 90s. You had to have a token black person or an ambiguous brown person and then a white guy with long hair.
Yes.
Like
Enter Tommy.
that was the formula to make a successful show. And you had to have puns everywhere, and everybody had to have, I was going to call them Rocky and Bullwinkle, but that's not what their names are. Bulk and Skull. Everyone had to have a Bulk and Skull because you needed to be able to laugh at the bullies that you can't
Yeah.
laugh at when you're at school.
Had to root against somebody.
Yeah.
Sorry, that
Yeah.
we got way off topic. I feel like it had to happen though.
I just wanted to understand, like, why did people stay, just like in the Avengers universe, why do people stay in
The major
the
metropolitan
city when
area.
you know that it's going to be bad? You're going to have to keep paying that insurance, and the insurance are going to be like, no, you never checked the box for disaster from a
Mhm.
space goblin. Like, that's not
Like,
on your policy.
my bad. I have a theory that I just came up with that maybe Tony Stark was in the like he had money in the insurance industry.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
He owns stock in Allstate, and that's
Yeah.
why Allstate was like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
stop selling insurance.
Allstate was
We're
Allstate was
to
working with
collect.
Thanos. Thanos.
Why
You're
does he
in one
think
good
like
hand.
that?
Thanos.
Oh gosh. Yes, but having a collaborative working knowledge of information in a group of friends, or even just a group of peers, not can we just understand? I know we said this before, but for people who are listening for the first time, not everybody has to be your friend. Not everybody needs to be your enemy. It's
No.
unnecessary. You can have acquaintances. You can have people who are around the corner people. You can
Down
have
the
people
street.
who are in your circle in a different zip code. Down the street friends or associates, hey, that is fine. You can have acquaintances that are not even associates. There's so many different levels to this. But everybody doesn't have to be separated out between supporter and enemy. It's unnecessary. It's too much
Yeah.
stress.
It's not that black and white.
Right.
Like there are levels to this. There should be levels to it because you learn different things at those different levels.
Yes.
Like, just I don't even have a better way of articulating it. Like when you first meet somebody, you learn stuff that you wouldn't learn about them if you were lifelong friends. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Like there are levels to this. You'll learn stuff from them that you wouldn't learn from them if you were lifelong friends. So, like, not everybody's out to get you. Some of us are. So, some of us are. Sometimes you may have a certain student, who is out to get you, or you. It seems like they're out to get you. Sometimes, but 99% of the time, everybody is just trying to get by, and everybody is as freaked out and as confused as you are. So it's better to lean into that discomfort, make some small talk, or if you don't make the small talk, at least accept the small talk to a certain degree. And then learn from them, learn their experiences. It's not even that you have to learn like actual information from people, like stuff about like, oh, did you know this? Like trivia facts. You can just learn about people's experiences and what they've gone through, how they've managed things. And you can learn from that, like just to hear their perspective, hear their life experience, their testimony, if you will.
Yes, I like the way that you put that because there are things that I just assume because I know you.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are things that I won't ask you because I'm just like, well, I know what his response is going to be because he's given me this response 72 different times. So I know what it's going to sound like. I can even do different dialects of Jason. Like I can absolutely know. I know what he's going to say. But what I've learned is still give you that space and opportunity to have your say.
Mm-hmm.
To where I'm not just, well, I'm not going to have the conversation, or I'm not going to be this, or I'm not going to say this because I've seen it multiple times. But I'm interested in hearing your story.
Mm-hmm.
What has honestly helped me build such a group and be a part of such a community, no matter how close or far we are away,
right,
is people have the opportunity to say their piece.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a thought about insurance premiums in Angel Grove, or what the healthcare system is like in Wakanda, I can go to certain people and have those kinds of conversations, and we can expand our knowledge about what we know and look into the lore.
Mm-hmm.
Or Black horror humor, we talk about who's faster, Ghostface or Leatherface, like who's going to catch you first.
Still.
And still having that conversation. Like if you're running from the house, Ghostface and Leatherface are about to catch, like they're running at the same time. Who's going to catch you first? And so just being able to have those kind of conversations, and they snowball off into different knowledge and having conversations you probably never even thought of having. Mm-hmm. And just as silly as those examples are, we then have conversations that talk about personal growth, therapy, development, building your career, how to get a mentor, things like that, or even perspectives and how we see building a job. How do you define a success? And even I was having a conversation with another young lady who said that, I grew up really sheltered, and talking with her and realizing that I used to, before I lived on my own, I used to share some of those fears of, oh snap, everybody's out to get me. If I get into a lift, I'm never making it home. Like I need to stay away from all crowds at all times, no matter what. If there's more than 3 people in the store, I can't go in. It wasn't that extreme for me, but I absolutely can understand where she's coming from because I've been there. So that was really interesting to connect, and connecting with her on that level really helped me to see how far I have come and how much I have grown, because now I'll take trips for myself, go on vacation by myself. I've moved by myself multiple times. I even still take myself out where I'm just like, hey, I feel like going to the shoreline, or I feel like going to the movies, or let's go to the mall. Maybe I need another jewelry piece, or whatever the case.
Mm-hmm.
Or I want to go experience XYZ. I'm not going to wait until I have a date to go to the symphony. If I want to go to the symphony, I'm going to
Right.
the symphony. Um, but so there are just some things that you probably wouldn't experience, or more than likely wouldn't experience, because you're not opened to that exchange in collaboration with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they look like you, talk like you, what that part doesn't matter. It's whether or not the two of you can agree to respect each other, no matter how much you disagree on the topic.
Mm-hmm. I don't have anything to add. Like I can't. you said it all. Like, drop the microphone. I don't know if you want to mute your microphone or something to have the effect, but like what she said. Okay. Yeah, what she said. What she said.
No, it bothers me sometimes, but then I realize not everybody is where I am. Not
Right.
everybody has experienced what I experienced. But when I'm just like, hey, we can just understand some, like, case in point.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, and for those of you all who don't follow Independent Thought, Desmond Price over there, make sure you follow him. And if you do not, he does a political show, and he does a great job with doing his research to give you an understanding of where we are on different political topics. So I've been on his show a couple different times. I really enjoy his show. But he had a panel previously, and when we got into the conversation, mostly everybody was left leaning. So they essentially agreed that we should do something to increase wages, offer UBI, which is Universal Basic Income, have certain things in place so that people who are at or below the poverty line can at least make it, like give them a livable wage, something,
Right.
give them the opportunity to come out of that. And someone said, well, people in this specific situation, a different situation, need to learn how to budget, because if they learn how to budget, they'll be better off financially. And everyone started jumping down this guy's throat. And I was like, whoa. Let's get some definitions. We need to understand what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Lay out what you're talking about. And when it came down to it, after 40 minutes of arguing, then we got to the point of, we're actually saying the same thing, but because we didn't want to talk about definitions first, we just end up arguing because we disagreed on a
context. Statement. Like, you need context. You need to, I guess, yeah, that kind of goes into like what, I don't want to phrase this. What we were talking about earlier about sort of understanding people's different perspectives and stuff. Mm-hmm. One thing that you can do to help make those difficult conversations easier is just lay out how you see things first. Like, okay, yes, this is what I mean when I talk about this term. This is what I mean when I talk about this term. Okay, and here's my perspective. Just sharing your lens with people and describing your lens to people helps to frame your argument so much more. I'm not meaning argument. Yes, I make this joke with my students, but I don't mean argument like Love and Hip Hop, Real Housewives like argument, right. But just whatever point that you're trying to make. If you lay out how you see the situation first and then describe what your perspective is and describe how you see it and what your opinion is, then it will help other people better understand what you're trying to say. Even if you don't make sense to me, even if you think that Angel Grove is like the best city in the world and it's worth it to pay the high premium high insurance premiums, right?
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if a skyscraper goes up and however fast they build them now, and then it comes down in a matter of seconds because Rita Repulsa decides to throw another staff at the earth and make her monster grow. If you like that, I'm all for it. But you need to explain the situation. Like, why do you like that chaos first? What are you bringing to the table?
Right. That I think that part is so important, and that's what we're missing in a lot of our discourse today.
Mm-hmm.
We're missing the nuance, we're missing the layers, we're missing the context to understand, okay, people may be on this side, that side, or the other side of a topic,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not asking you to justify why you've chosen the side that you've chosen.
Right.
I want to just understand your perspective and how you see it. Because if I can see how you see it, then I can make a more careful assumption about why you've chosen such a side.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've chosen a side because somebody else told you to,
Mm-hmm.
then okay, I'm more than likely going to have a problem with that. But
Yeah.
if your experience dictates that you should choose this side because it is going to benefit you in XYZ way,
Mm-hmm.
then I can understand where you're coming from.
Right.
Because even if I'm on the opposite side and say, well, this is not going to work because this is going to negatively affect me like this, well, I realize you're not doing anything against me, you're just doing something for your benefit, and the effect just happens to be negative on my side.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that people are just out to get you or out to get me just to get me. It's like, no, they're doing what's best for them, and it may come at a cost to my comfort.
Yeah. Part of the reason why the discourse is like doesn't favor that is because everything does happen in segments. Like tweets, you pull a tweet out of
Yes.
context and
Yes.
you go with whatever's there. TikTok, same way because everything has to be so fast. Instagram, same way because it's just sort of encapsulated just within one post or one story or whatever. When like you have like the longer threads that don't really get as much engagement unless you have like a huge following or something, or maybe you're making a very compelling point from the first tweet,
Right.
but you don't have the room to provide that context to describe, oh, okay, these are the experiences that I grew up with, or these are the experiences that have impacted my opinion about this. Okay, now here's why I think abortion rights are human rights or whatever, right?
Right.
So that's missing. I don't see, I would like to see things sort of take a shift back to where like longer form content so that we can actually have meaningful discussions instead of just spats about
Right.
topics and just like
Yeah.
immediate reactions about topics and just like a lot of hyperbole, that kind of thing. I don't see how we're going to get back to longer form content because the money is with the quick burst stuff. Like you can get a lot of
Yes.
engagement really quick, which means you get more ads really quick. And so like I don't see a path back to it. Me being an essayist, me being the compositionist, me being the English teacher, I want to see like those at least 8 to 10 page rundowns of what is what, like what you're bringing to the table, how you see things, what your grandmother thought about it and how that impacted you. I want to see all of it. One, because I'm nosy, but I need the entire story so that I can understand, okay, this is why they think the way that they do, even if I don't agree with it. I would like to see that, but I don't know if there's a path to that in my lifetime.
I think on smaller scales, absolutely, because
Yeah.
podcasts are blowing up
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. And it is a form of long form content.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they're in spurts and out of context on other social media platforms, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, because you have to have something that catches the eye. You have to have just like the post of the four guys who were talking about black women and how beautiful they are, how
Mm-hmm.
that blew up on Instagram and Twitter, and people were coming. They had like 16,000 views, crazy numbers, just off of them, like, oh, the blonde bob, oh, the blonde bob, the, oh my gosh, the half braids with the soft glam, oh bruh, like them talking about that really, if for those 2 or 3 minutes, really brought a lot of people to their page.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are, like, I do agree with you, people try to, like, I don't need 8 to 10 pages. If you can give it to me in 2 to 3,
Mm-mm.
2 to 3
That's
pages.
literally,
Like
for me, that's barely scratching the surface. That's
I need to just I need to understand. I want to fully hear your argument. You don't necessarily need to justify it, but I need to hear your full argument. And if
yeah.
you can give me your warrants in there, I would be okay. But
Tell them
I
what
don't need
warrants
8 to
are.
10. Just huh?
Tell them what the warrants are first. Before you move on, what are the warrants?
So here's the thing.
What are warrants?
The warrants are something that I have yet to be able to fully explain to a 7-year-old, but they're essentially what proves the claim true. It's like that's how I describe it. A warrant in an argument is what proves the claim true.
Mm-hmm. And
But
again,
if you
argument is not like going back and forth, call the police, cops, or anything like that.
right,
It's just what is your point that you're making?
yes, what
Sorry.
is your thesis essentially?
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to prove?
What's your
So,
point?
so if you can give me in 2 to 3 pages, I'll be
Mm-hmm.
fine. But I feel like when people, just like how that clip was taken out of the episode, I don't even know what the full episode was about, but I
Right.
absolutely went to YouTube to like go watch that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really interesting to me, like when the Will Smith Chris Rock situation, people were talking about what if Will Smith slapped Betty White, and it's like how did we get there? What steps did you take to get to Betty
Right.
White? And then when previously we talked about Kevin Samuels, and then he passed a couple days later,
Mm-hmm.
and then people were talking about how are these people rejoicing over a man's death? What if you guys would be the same ones? What was it? It was like, you guys are rejoicing over this man's death. You guys would be the same ones to rejoice over MLK
Mm-hmm.
dying. And I was like,
First of all,
how did we get there? So I feel like having longer content would force people to have to state the warrants, not just the claims, to prove their argument. Because just saying things for shock value, like no. I need to hear why you think this way. I need to hear how did you get to this point? And if I can see how you got to this point, I can see how your mind works and what you're focusing on
mm-hmm.
and the way you think. And it's just mind boggling that we have let society devolve into this soundbite generation, that things just need to be quicker, faster. Oh, if you can't catch your attention in 7 seconds, then oh well.
Sorry. You get no play in the algorithm at all.
Oh, the algorithm. The algorithm.
The algorithm. Somebody said the algorithm at one point, and I can never hear that word the same way again. But yeah, I think, like you said, in smaller bursts, especially in specific communities, there are opportunities for those more meaningful, more thorough discussions,
Mm-hmm.
so that a full picture of everyone's perspective is actually shared. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like the podcast formats, is because, yeah, you can have like the conversational dynamic where you're two people just sharing ideas and just sort of hearing different perspectives. But also you can have like the roundtable format, or you can have just the single person format where it's more like a narrative essay type thing. So I think that's one of the reasons why I like the podcast format in particular. But like you said, I hate that in order to even get that kind of engagement, you have to have maybe one or two specific moments within that really meaningful conversation that can be somewhat taken out of context,
Mm-hmm.
just to hook the people. Like,
Right.
oh, maybe somebody had a funny story like about Zordon being a computer program, right? Being software, being less powerful than Vision before he got the Vision body, before, like, when he was Jarvis, basically. Like, he was Jarvis without
He
the
was
protections.
Jarvis.
Without the
Yeah.
protections. He didn't even have the guns. But I digress again. That content, that specific moment can be taken out of context, like, oh, okay, yeah, they're talking about Marvel or whatever. But then you dive into this conversation where it's like, no, that's just an example. That is literally a moment in a 54-minute conversation where we're talking about how to engage with people, how we engage with people on a more meaningful level. Not that we're telling people how to engage with the world or whatever, but how we approach it and how we view it and what we get from it. That entire conversation, depending on how you cut this, depending on what you want to use as your stinger to get people's attention, people will be completely bamboozled when they click on that link, right?
Right.
Which is
good.
Like,
wait, how do we make a left to talk about the power? What are we?
Right?
VR troopers. What?
Right. Tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills?
From Beverly Hills.
What? What is that? There were a lot more of those, by the way. Like those kind of shows.
Yes.
Because once Power Rangers came out, everybody had to have the action show where the
Big
teenagers...
Bad Beetleborgs, VR Troopers.
Beetleborgs.
There was another one that was very similar, but it was very, very short lived. That after school hour, they were trying to pack in as many shows as possible.
I'm not mad. Like Bobby's World and stuff too. Like
Bobby's World.
I used to love that show.
Oh.
I don't even know why. Life with Louie.
And that's another one I just thought about after Bobby's World, because I was like, Bobby's World was in a succession of shows that I would just watch.
Yeah,
and
we would just sit there.
Thought of the Gap Tooth Louie.
Mm-hmm. We would just sit there and just watch them. They were good too.
I couldn't get into Rocko's Modern Life though. That was one that I was just like,
I used to love that show. I couldn't get into Doug.
Doug was interesting.
Doug was weird.
I tried to keep up with it, but I think that his superhero with no superpowers
was it Q-Man or something like that. He was like Batman, basically. He was like Batman.
I couldn't.
He was like Batman without money.
When somebody said that Kim Possible was basically Batman, I was done with the internet for the day.
Why? Because they told the truth?
Yes. And I wasn't ready for it. I just wasn't ready to.
Look, Batman.
Ron Stoppable and Kim Possible.
The heck is Ron Stoppable?
Huh?
What is Ron Stoppable? I didn't watch Kim Possible.
Friend.
Oh, okay. I did not. We didn't have Disney. We watched Nickelodeon.
He was voiced by Will Friedle, the guy who played Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm back.
Yeah. I know that's very specific, but I knew who that guy was.
That girl's name was Topanga.
Huh?
Her name was Topanga. Like, on Boy Meets World? Did you watch it?
Yes. Her name was Topanga because, I didn't know she went to Fullerton.
Did she?
But yeah, they were. He said that they were thinking of a woman of a name for the main female character, and he happened to be driving down the street, saw Topanga, was like, "That's gonna be her name."
Oh.
Yeah, because she was supposed to be some weird like hippie chick who called her parents by their first names.
What the heck does that name even mean? I'll Google it later.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for being along for this ride. There was a lot going on in this episode. It was so much.
We had a common thread, which was here's how you can communicate with people. We had some good examples. We kept the people guessing, right? We kept them on their toes. We laughed. We didn't cry. That's good.
No crying in this episode. There's no crying in baseball.
There's no crying on TUSP. That's how I pronounce Take Up Space. TUSP.
I don't want you to do that though.
I have to.
No.
Don't it sound like something your mom would give you when you're sick? Take some TUSP.
Tussin. Take the Tussin. Take that Tussin.
Tussin.
Oh. Why does it make you do that? Like when you take the medicine, why does it
make
your body?
Oh God. Just immediately.
Why does it make you do that? How are they still in business? And now they have like different flavors like honey and cherry and strawberry. It's still medicine.
That are oddly worse than the one that you grew up with. And it's probably just because it's better the devil you know than the one that's like masquerading as honey.
He was like, why is it so thick? Why is it so thick?
It's to coat the throat. It's Tussin.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Yeah. But if you have anything to plug.
Do I? No, I don't. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, JJ_Newberry. and you will see my random wrestling tweets. You will see my random, when I pick up my camera, you see my photography. You see me basically in my downtime. The tweets are where it's at, though. JJ_Newberry.
Cool beans. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take Up Space Podcast. Please make sure to follow Jason and follow us at Take Up Space Pod. That's Take Up Space POD on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're also on TikTok at Champions of Discourse. I am working diligently, not really, to make sure that we have content on that page. So when you go there, it's more than just like a few videos. Like there's actually stuff to go through. And then also make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can either search Champions of Discourse or Take Up Space Pod. We're both on there. And it's the same channel. So just when it comes up, you'll see us and it'll be fine. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Thank you so much, Jason, for being on the show. We'll talk to you later. Bye.